Morning, everybody. North Country Knucklehead, little drive time talk, headed to work. I'm going to do a little quick review on a book I read this weekend, The Gift of Fear by Gavin Becker. Written in 1997, talking about the benefit, not the benefit, what fear does for us and what fear truly is compared to worry or anxiety, and the importance of listening to that. Intuition is kind of the way he refers to it predominantly, whether you call it the biologic instinct or sixth sense or whatever it is in you. It's the importance of hearing that, feeling that, recognizing that, and responding to it appropriately, not dismissing it. Now he goes into more explanation about worry and anxiety and how those are not truly fear, but we get caught up in believing that they are. They're manifestations. We create those. But back to kind of more of the central theme. Well, before I get to that, written in 1997. So some may be like, well, that doesn't apply today. This is 2017, or 20 years down the road. And there are some references in there to technology that are dated, or there are some mentions about technology where he's hoping that would be about in the future, kind of, and we've realized quite a bit of that stuff as far as technology goes in the last 20 years. The other thing about it being 20 years old is, well, is it truly relevant? And my perspective and take on it is that yes, it is very relevant today, just as it was when he wrote it, and just as it was throughout our evolution as a human species. Real quick jump back, when people think about psychology, what'd you think of? You thought of Freud, yes? All right. Real simple. That is a relative piece of the history of psychology and how the brain works, and it relates to fear and anxiety and worry and all those kind of things. Now, some of the things that Freud talked about have been advanced upon, others have not, whatever it is, but knowing that is still relevant. William James, Carl Jung. When we look at the history of these, Watson, here's a big one. Becker talks a lot about the advertising of violence in society, especially through media. Well, where did Watson end up? He ended up in advertising. He was selling us everything under the sun, or understanding behavior. He was able to convey those things through different media types, especially the advent of television, to sell us stuff that, well, maybe we didn't know we wanted, but all of a sudden we decided we do. And Becker really kind of ties into how even the news, especially the news, sells us on fear. Sells us on violence, and not to get too far off track with that selling of violence. But it is mentioned talking about video games or movies, things like that, which are entertainment. But if someone's entire life is consumed by that, it's something to consider as a contributing factor, not the factor. He also talks about there the most important factor in the development of a human is good parents, and good is a varying degree, but there are some very basic human needs that children need, that infants need, to feel secure and develop a sense of worth and those types of things. And he delves into all of that. And I've kind of gone on a bit of a tirade about this. But for me, reading it, probably the key takeaway as a parent is I need to have my children, male, female, doesn't matter, read this, especially young ladies, because they have to learn how to say no. Here's the deal. He's talking about the gift of fear. That when, oh man, that thing just goes up the back of your goosebumps, whatever it is, and you have that in your pit of your stomach, holy crap kind of feeling. I need to turn, go the other way. Whatever it is, I need to not ignore that. I don't need to try and rationalize that. I need to respond to that because it can be a life-saving thing. And he gives lots of examples of that. Of how it worked for people and how it didn't work for people, how they dismissed it, those types of things. But one of the big things, and it doesn't have to just be around that goosebumps, holy crap, scared, fear kind of thing. It's about dealing with relationships. And again, back to our young ladies, learning how to deal with relationships, whether they've logically gone through this process of, no, I don't think I want to date this person, or I don't want to date this person anymore. Whether it's in a professional setting, you know what, this guy keeps approaching me at the office, and I think he's meaning more than's really there, and I just need to kind of set those boundaries. Or they're currently in a relationship, and that needs to be affected or changed. And he goes into great detail explaining what no means. And no means no. And we hear that all the time, but there's a much better explanation and examples in the book for our young ladies to read and take to heart. One of the key things that I noticed, and if you choose to read this, you will see these, male or female, doesn't matter, in your life, in other people's lives that you know, and you can see these examples, and they happen all the time. The girl decides, here's the example, it's not sexist, it's just a fact. He quotes, and these are, 80s, 90s numbers, 1 in 4 women will be assaulted in their life. 25% of our ladies, young girls and ladies, will be assaulted in their life. And a large portion of those are by people they know. They are not strangers. But anyways, here we go. Some guy makes whatever advance interested in her, gives her a call, text message, whatever the deal is, and through fear or logic, whichever way she comes to that, she decides that no, this is not somebody I'm interested in. So, has a couple examples, real clear-cut, concise. No, I am not interested now, or never would be interested in pursuing any more of a relationship with you. And he does it a little more eloquently probably than I do. But there are no loopholes in it, because he clearly shows how in our Let Him Down Gently is the name of one of the chapters, how we try and gently let people down. And what we do is we open up trap doors. We leave things open where that person's like, oh, well, she said that she's quite busy now, but in the future maybe she won't be as busy, and then she'll be, available or interested, whatever it is. So he waits a week before he contacts her again, waiting a while kind of thing. But when that person, male or female, has clearly defined that no is the answer as to what's going on with this relationship, personal, romantic, professional, whatever it is, that means from that point on they have no more contact with them. When they get, especially today, that text message, hey, I just wanted to say that I respected your opinion about how we were getting along, and that you're not interested or anything like that. And that's fine that they sent that message, because you can't control that. But what you don't do is you don't reply to that. You don't go, thank you, acknowledging that, yes, that is what I meant. Because not always, but here's the rub with it. When they communicate that response, they have now taken back their no. Their no just became a maybe. No, I don't want to pursue a relationship with you ever, never, blah, blah, blah. And then they send a text message, hey, I value what you said, and I will respect what you've said. And then the young lady goes, well, thank you. Oh, but she just said yes to him, or maybe, or whatever it is. Anyways, not to kick the dog 8,000 times around the hole there, but it was a good read. Had some very salient points and valuable points today. This again is not ancient history. And when we look at the history of psychology and psychiatry, and what we know about human behavior and the actions, we have descriptions of this now. We understand much better than we did even 20 years ago what's going on with this, as compared to 50 years ago or 100 years ago, and so forth and so on, going back through that history. But anyways, just a quick little report, probably longer than I planned it to be. I may have run in multiple different directions, but if you want to learn a little bit about how fear is your ally, and fear is a life-saving tool that has been developed in the human species. One of the things he talks about, as I go off on another tangent, is when we talk about survival of the fittest type of thing. It was that fear response that got our ancestors to leave whatever threatening environment it was, or situation, or whatever they felt, compared to the ones who didn't have that. You see this in animals all the time. You just want to get close to the squirrel, and the squirrel takes off. Well, the squirrel has a fear instinct, and it's like, no, that big thing coming at me, not happening. I'm out of here. I ain't sticking around. I'm not thinking, oh, maybe he's got a peanut for me. We can sucker him in with food sometimes. But anyways, I digress just a little bit. But again, the gift of fear. I think it's critical for everyone to have a little better understanding of that. Those that may truly understand it probably don't need to read it, but actually those that probably do really understand it likely already have read it. For the rest of y'all, and I'm not selling books, I'm saying check out your local library or whatever the case may be, and read it. I'm sure there's some valuable stuff that you would get out of it, and that you can also pass on to someone else. If you do have a lady in your life, whether it's your wife or your daughter or your sister or your mom, I think there's some good information for them to read, to recognize those things, to not put themselves in unnecessary worry or fear, and to actually recognize when it's that true fear and respond accordingly to that. All right, this is the North Country Knucklehead signing off for this morning. Have a good day, and I'll talk to you later.